Hi everyone. I just wanted to clarify a couple of things and tell you what's been going on. So this week I'm going to start discussing and making videos on different chapters in my book, just to give a little bit of insight into what was going on and what my mindset was, what my age was, and what was happening. So I'm going to share like a few pages of each chapter in every video. My first video will be posted today. It'll be uploaded today, and that's about my 10th birthday party and what happened on that day. If anybody hasn't seen any of my other videos, my book is called My Unheard Voice. I don't have it with me, but it's on Amazon. It's My Unheard Voice by Felicia Perez. I used my maiden name for the book. It's focused on the 7 years of my childhood sexual abuse, plus some of the aftermath and, my ongoing issues since then. He was released from prison in May, and that's when I decided I needed to get my story out, because I've been, the unheard voice for forever. I was never strong enough to share my story, so I never did. I am strong enough now, and I am open as I can be to, what happened to me and what I did, and, the reason, things went the way they were. I pretty much go into detail about everything. But I just wanted to let you know that his name will not be anywhere in my book. He didn't deserve, to be in my book. His name, he didn't deserve any recognition to be in my book, so I would not have wasted money on ink to put his name in my book. I will only refer to him as the monster, because that's who he was, that's what he is, and that's what he will always be. He's not a man. He's not, he's sick. He's a sick person, and his name you will not hear his name in any of my videos or in my book. Also, in my book, I do mention, family members and other people that were, around in my life at the time. So their names are in my book. I do have their permission to use their names in my book, but I will not be using their names in any of my videos out of respect for them. I just wanted to make that clear also. And one more thing. In one of my chapters at the end of the book, it was written by my junior high counselor, who was the one who referred my case to CPS after, she was made aware about the abuse. So the final chapter is hers from a professional viewpoint, and she discusses abuse, she discusses sexual abuse, and she goes into different stories and things like that. But I will not discuss that either, because that was her chapter, and I'm not going to be stepping on her toes and reading or talking about what she wrote. So I will be discussing my story, my chapters. It's my truth. It's, from my memories, and it's all 100% true. None of it was, fabricated. None of it was made up. None of it is lies. I didn't exaggerate anything. I also didn't minimize anything. I pretty much just put it all out there. If it makes me look bad, then it makes me look bad. I don't care. I just want my story to be out, and I want people to know, how sexual abuse really works and really affects the child. So in chapter 1, it discusses, the things that happened that day. It was my 10th birthday party, and I go into detail about, what happened, about my thought process, about, him chasing me around the house. I go into detail about all of that. But I really only shared about a quarter of the chapter, because I don't want to share the entire book, on YouTube. I just want to give bits and pieces to give, people a little bit of, a look into my book. Of course, if you want to buy the book, it is on Amazon and Barnes & Noble. It is called My Unheard Voice by Felicia Perez, which is my maiden name. You're more than welcome to join my Facebook group, which is called The Unheard Voices. It is for victims and for victims' families. My goal is to raise awareness and to show people what really happens, because I've seen several books where, they just go into detail about the way they recovered, but they don't go into detail about the actual abuse. So people don't really know what happened. So this was my first book. It is called My Unheard Voice, because my voice has never been heard, because I was too weak and too shy to share my story. So now that I'm not that person anymore, I am speaking loud, and I want everybody to know my story. I want people to know that this happens. I want people to know that it's happening to other children right now. As we speak, there are children getting abused. So I just wanted to make, that known. Chapter 2, I will be discussing about that chapter tomorrow. I'll be uploading that video tomorrow, and then I'll continue on. The final chapter was written by my junior high counselor, who reported my case to CPS. I will not be discussing her chapter because it was written by her, and I don't want to step on her toes. But it came from her professional viewpoint on child abuse and childhood sexual abuse. If you have any questions, feel free to comment on here, message me, follow me on Facebook. I'm here to help anybody. But I just wanted to clarify that you will not see his name in my book, because he did not deserve to have his name in my book. And I also didn't name any of my family members in my videos out of respect for them. I also have a second book that should be coming out within the next couple of months. That book is called The Hard, Ugly Truth, which is focused on all of the aftermath, the long-term effects of childhood sexual abuse, which is, the confusion, the anxiety, the depression, the self-doubt, the shame. I go more into detail about the dissociation. I made a video about that yesterday also. So I go into detail about that. So that should be published within a couple of weeks. And then once that's published, I will start sharing that story here in my channel also. I'll be sharing chapters of that book. Just wanted to let you know that book is coming. And then the third book, I'm focused on making that one a self-help book, and to show how I'm recovering and how I'm healing, and how I gained my strength to tell my story after so many years. I'm 45 now, and my abuse ended when I was 12. So all of these years, all of these decades, I've never talked about it. I've kept it to myself. Only my husband knew about it, and my mom, but nobody else knew anything. And my mom didn't really know any details either. So all of that just came out when I wrote my first book. So, it's been hard on, on all of us, this past year. But now that he is out of prison, I made it a point to do something about it, because it's just a matter of time until he has his hands on another child, and it's heartbreaking, but it's happening. And of course, I'm not the only abused child in the world. There are millions, and it's sad. This shouldn't even be happening to begin with. Men should not be doing this to children, but they are. So there are millions of victims that are out there who are now adults, and they are probably still struggling with the aftermath. So that my second book, The Hard, Ugly Truth, is focused on the aftermath. The war that goes on in our heads that we can never stop. The triggers that continue. The fear that stays with us. The anxiety, the depression. It's not easy. And I know a lot of people, deal with anxiety and depression, and mental illness. So it's not only abused victims. So this might help, other people also who struggle with these things who aren't sexual abuse victims. I do talk about PTSD in the book because it was a traumatic event, and it is a traumatic event to anybody who's been sexually abused. So just wanted to, let you know that my second book should be published within a couple of months, and then I'll start sharing that book on here too. My goal is to get my story heard, to get people reading my story and to know what really happens behind closed doors when you pretend everything is normal. I was very good at pretending everything was normal when it wasn't. And now I'm ready to, tell the truth and tell my story and, and make sure people hear it. Of course, if you have any questions, as I said before, you can find me on Facebook or comment on my videos. Thank you.